Hi everyone, I am Tara and I would like to welcome you back to my channel, Spirit Mother, Teachings of Going Within. Today is the second time that I've been on live today. I come back on live because I was laying here and I was listening to my frequencies. And earlier I put up a post. It was on my Facebook, and it was explaining about the frequencies and how they are healing. People also use crystals with their healings and what have you. It's about the sound frequency and the vibration, and a lot of people don't quite understand it. Maybe they've tried using frequencies, but frequencies didn't seem right for them. A lot of the time what it is if it doesn't resonate with you or your body, then you're not on the right one. Okay. A lot of the time, like right now, I have, because today is the 9/9 portal. So I have 9/9 mystical portal that leads to heaven. Okay. And that's what we're trying to get. We're trying to get to is the heaven within us, where we have the peace and the love and what have you. Okay. And it's finding within yourself first. So it's the aspect of the healing. Okay. There's things that we want. And a lot of time it's in order to reach that goal, healing comes first. Okay. Because I have, I use my own life as examples and what have you. And I have someone that they said today that they want to manifest more of a financial stability. And there was something else. And the way to get that, first off, it comes with the healing aspect of it, because this person, they're disabled. And in order to get where they want to be, you have to mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, but to be there, it's the oneness. Okay. And when I say spiritual, like your spirituality, it's the spirituality is the oneness. It's all coming together in healing as a whole. Okay. And when you have the healing, then the rest starts falling into place. And that's how I explained it. As I explained before, today I'm kind of describing my journey with regards to using the sound frequencies, because the sound frequencies, it brings a vibration in your body and you can feel it. That's why I say, like some people say, well, the frequencies don't work for me. If it's giving you a weird sensation in your body and it's not a good feeling, then that's the frequency that's not working for you. Okay. And there are many other ones. Now this post that I put on Facebook today, as it was explaining it's the way it heals and what have you. At the end of it, they said about they charge a fee and like act now because the price is going to go up. Well, don't act on that because it's on YouTube. So the price don't go up. It's free. Okay. And you can go in and you can look for the different things that you want to be healing. Like you have a headache, there's a frequency there that can calm the headache. There's a frequency that can calm anxiety. If you have negative feelings, there's a frequency for that. It's just putting it in of what you're looking for, and say blood pressure frequency. Okay. And you'll find that and it'll lower it. I know sometimes there's some of the frequencies that I put on and it's just, it becomes more of an irritant, or it makes me think more. about things that I don't know why I'm thinking about, but sometimes it's because I have to. But I usually put on, a lot of the time, I put on nature sounds because I love being in nature, water sounds, rain, what have you. It's what resonates with you because it's all healing, because nature is healing. And if you can't get out in nature, then bring nature to you, because Mother Nature is the true healing. Okay. It always gives the frequency that you're looking for. Some can't handle a lot of bird sounds. If that happens, it could be indicating that something from your past or your past life brought about a trauma that may have been birds involved at one point. Okay. Okay. I had, that was what one person told me. And I had another person tell me that they've tried the frequencies, and also whenever they tried meditating, it was like it would draw the negativity to them. As I stated with the birds, when you're meditating, it's about quieting the mind, as everyone knows. It's quieting the mind, and sometimes it's about getting into a state where it's nothing. And it can be hard because when you're trying to quiet your mind, things will start trying to flood in, and you do get negative energies trying to come in at you. Okay. For the longest time, I was experiencing that. And I would go and I feel energies big time. But I've been learning how to stop feeling it so intensely. Like if you feel like you have, like this is part of how I learned, like by frequencies, how to heal and how to come into different ways of quieting the mind and healing through forms of meditation. Meditation is not always sitting there in Om or like this. It's it's connecting with oneself. So if you go out in nature and you just sit there and talk to yourself, you're doing a form of meditation. Sit there and just hear like specific things. Focus on one noise, a noise that resonates with you, something that makes you feel good. Okay. And that's what the frequencies are meant to do. And when you're healing, like anytime you're healing, you can feel it happening. Sometimes you get itchy. Okay. Sometimes your body will like twitch, and that's the nerves, they're flaring up, and that's the healing aspect of it. Okay. When you get energies coming in at you and they feel like it's like pushing in and pushing in and pushing in. Okay. It's the bringing yourself to center. Okay. Cause it's almost like an inner fight sort of, and it's pushing and pushing and pushing. So it's making your mind go all bonkers, and one's like one side saying one thing and the other side saying another thing. So it's like, shut up. Both sides, shut up for a minute. And put yourself in the middle. And when you have them coming in, I do this a lot. Okay. Where it's pushing in, pushing in. It's pushing out at both sides. So it's pushing those energies away from you. Okay. I just felt somebody kind of, it was like it clicked. Okay. When you do that, you can start feeling like right now I have it like this, and I can feel the release. I can feel the energies pushing in, because when I do these videos, a lot of the time it does draw in different types of energies, good energies and bad energies. Okay. And it's not really like good or bad, it's how others are feeling, because you're connected, and some are understanding it and some are saying you're full of shit. Okay. So I do this, and when I do it, you can actually feel the release, the lifting of heaviness, or what have you, the pushing away of it. Okay. So it gives you that break. When I listen to frequencies, I can get the calmness. And it's been helping me heal. Like, some people, they might think or say like, lady, you come on here and you don't sound too much like you're healing. But it's like, yeah, I am healing. And when I say about healing is the part of the, like, going within, looking at yourself, okay, and seeing the things that we do, okay, the way we talk to people. And I get there, and it's like the healing from my traumas, and the frequencies, they do help. But we also have to do some inner work ourselves, so that we can let go of the negative feelings that we have towards other people, because it's not serving us, because it can make us bitter, because then all we see is the downside, instead of, like, I'm not saying like the people that harmed you, like, it's about forgiveness and letting go and moving on. I'm not saying that you have to go near that person again. Okay. When I had my car accident, because I know a lot of my healing has to come from dealing with my car accident, because after my car accident, that's when it felt like my life just went really in the pooper. I sustained a traumatic brain injury, only people weren't understanding it. I was going into catatonic states where I would just be walking in the lawn, and then all of a sudden it was just like freeze frame. It's like, somebody hit the pause button, like, come on, play, but it wouldn't play. But I was aware I could still, because if I was walking and I just freeze framed, and it just be a dead stare. It was like, I'm there, but I'm not there. If that makes any sense to some of you. It's like, sometimes it's like a coma state, okay? Because a person in a coma, they can still hear you. They can still feel you. They just can't respond. Okay? So I was unresponsive, and it got to the point where, like, I would tell people, like, if you're ever around me and I go into that state and I'm standing up or anything like that, do not touch me. Because if you touched me, it would take that, whatever frame I was in at that moment, it would take and it would unlock it, and then I'd have it. Sometimes when I come out of it, it was like I was a baby. There was times that I come out of it, I couldn't walk, right? It was just like a baby learning how to walk. I couldn't talk right. I had a major stutter, and I was trying to push it out, and I would get really frustrated and angry. And people would get frustrated with me and upset, thinking that I was faking because they didn't understand what was happening. So I started becoming bitter and angry at people and frustrated because people wanted me to understand their pain and help them. But all they wanted to do was tell me that I was faking. And they'd look at, and sometimes it would be like, well, the doctor said this, so the doctor said that. But it was like, well, when it came to you, well, the doctor's wrong. So if the doctor was wrong for you, then isn't there a possibility that the doctor was wrong for me with regards to me? Because that was in 2006. And they kept telling me, no, like, you're fine. Like, it's more of a histrionics, it's stress, it's anxiety, what have you. So I paid, in 2008, I spent $10,000 plus to go to a place in Toronto to have the PET scan done. So I went and I had the PET scan done. And I come home and I showed it to my doctor, and it said that I had an impaired cerebral metabolism, which impaired cerebral metabolism is a lack of oxygen getting to the brain. The uptake and the downtake were wrong. And when I brought that, like, before I went out, I went to my doctor here and asked him, like, hey, can you do this test? No, we're not. Like, there's nothing wrong. Okay. So then I went to my therapist, and this is why I have a hard time with doctors and therapists, because they're there to help you and they're supposed to listen to their patients. But a lot of time, doctors don't listen to their patients. They'll plug their ears because they believe that they have all the answers, and the patients don't know nothing. And the patients are there trying to describe, but a doctor's going by a book. Okay. So I told the doctor that I'd like to have this done. And I even took the requisition form and asked her to sign it. And she wouldn't sign it. So I went to my therapist because I found a doctor in Alberta who would sign the requisition form for me, because he was concerned about me when I was up there in 2007. So I'm explaining my healing process. So before I left, I went to my psychologist. Okay. And it's about, like, a psychologist is confidential unless you're, like, causing harm to yourself or others, right? That's what it's supposed to be. So I told my psychologist that I was going to Alberta because I had a doctor up there that would sign a requisition form for me to have a test done. And I told her, like, hey, like you don't need to tell my doctor or anything. I already talked to my doctor. My doctor wouldn't help me. Okay. So I went to Alberta, and I got the requisition signed, and I got the test, and I come back, and I went in to see my doctor to talk about the results. And my doctor informed me that my psychologist contacted her and told her that I was going for this test. I even had the paperwork, and I got rid of it because that's my past. And I don't go to them anymore because it's like, you guys are friggin', like, once you hear, you'll understand why I have a problem. So I was sitting there. She wouldn't even look at it. She told me that she was no longer going to be my doctor because of a breach of trust. Well, in all honesty, I wasn't the one that breached the trust. I went and I paid for the test out of my own pocket. I paid for the flight there. I paid for the flight back. I paid for my accommodations while I was there. I went from Alberta to Toronto and then back to Alberta. And then I had to go back to Toronto again for another one. And then back to Alberta and then back home. And I took my mom with me because I didn't want to be alone. And so I lost my doctor. Meanwhile, I literally was going unconscious too. Like I would literally go unconscious, standing and walking. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm going down, and then clump, and my head would go down and I would smash right off the floors. It wasn't fun. It friggin' hurt, but I'd like be there and I'd be unconscious. So not only was I like going unconscious and my head smashing off of things, but I was going into catatonic states. And I had people getting upset and angry with me. So I was getting more and more angry and bitter and less caring. I still cared, but less caring because nobody cared about me. So after that started happening, I started like, my mind was just like, it would be shaking. I could feel it. And sometimes it'd be like, it was like, I was going crazy. And I had so much pressure in my head that I just wanted to take and shove my head in a crevice that was tight. But after my accident, because of the pressure, I was starting to try to self-medicate. I was drinking a lot of coffee and pop because they were said to be diuretics. And I was trying to get rid of the pressure. And they were giving me Tylenol 3, so I was popping those. And then I got rid of the Tylenol 3. And they gave me gabapentin, and I was having really bad side effects from gabapentin. And then they wouldn't give me anything. So I started popping ibuprofen left, right, and center. And everyone knows that they say ibuprofen is bad for the liver, kidneys, and all that. It's bad for the system. But I was taking it. And I was seeing a psychiatrist, and I was telling my psychiatrist, well, you shouldn't be doing that. It's like, well, no, duh. But like, you aren't helping me in any way. You're just throwing me to the wolves and saying, just go away, go away. So as time went by, I started collapsing more. And then in 2009, 2009 was the first time that I collapsed. The times before that, I would go in like a freeze frame. So after we got moved into our new place, I was standing in the middle. Okay. It was my husband at the time. He was standing at one end of the kitchen and my son was standing at the other end of the kitchen. I was standing in the middle. And then all of a sudden I could feel myself going. It was like, and then boom, down I went. After that, I started losing weight. And then I started losing it at a rapid rate. People thought that I was anorexic, but I couldn't eat. I was trying to eat. So I was eating mainly Mr. Noodles. Because a lot of time, that was the only thing I could handle. So before my accident, I weighed between 130 and 140. That was my normal weight most of the time. And after I started drinking a lot of pop and coffee, I went to 184. And in between there, I had, it was right around Christmas of 2008, thereabouts. Yeah, it was 2008 because it was before I went to Alberta to get the MRI or the PET scan done. Okay. It was right around Christmas time, and I was putting decorations on the tree, and I ended up hitting a nightstand or a end table, and it had a lamp with one of those mercury bulbs, and I hit that, and it smashed. And not thinking, because I didn't know anything about the mercury bulbs and how dangerous they really are, because I thought like mercury, you ingested it, and that's where the toxic aspect of it came from. I didn't know that, no, it comes from the vapors. So I was down about, like, I was here, the floor was here, and I was sweeping. So as I was sweeping, the vapors were getting in my body. So I ended up with mercury poisoning, but they told me that I didn't have mercury poisoning. Let me tell you, when you have mercury poisoning, it feels like you ate insulation, and it's all through your body. It's very painful. It actually makes you feel like you just want to die. So on top of, like, the going catatonic, I end up with mercury poisoning. And I went to my doctor, and I called poison control. Poison control said, oh, well, those only have 4 milliliters of mercury in them, so you couldn't have that. Well, I broke the bulb, and I was sweeping up the vapors. And it was very intense, very scary, very intense. I would wake up profusely soaked from sweat, unable to sleep when I did, like when I was able to sleep. And I kept going to the doctor in the hospital, and then getting blown off and telling them what happened and everything like that, that I inhaled the vapors, and just ignoring me. And then in 2009, like I said, I started going unconscious. So I was going through mercury poisoning, and I was like going unconscious. So it was just like, what have you. So when the doctors wouldn't listen to me, and they were very condescending and patronizing, very dismissive, things started getting worse for me. So this one night, I had Keppra for the seizure disorder, because that's what I was experiencing, a seizure disorder. They were giving me Keppra because I harassed them until they did, or at least tried to do something. But they were very dismissive and weren't really paying much attention. So in 2011, I felt like I couldn't handle it no more. So I took a whole bunch of pills. And that was about 11 o'clock at night. And the next morning when I woke up, I was so ticked off. But I kept going after that. I ended up leaving my husband. And then I ended up going back to drinking and a lot of promiscuity. And I would go to the hospital. Like, I have a Facebook, and it's It's a group, and I haven't been on it in a while. It's like something along the lines of, what are you experiencing with the Nova Scotia healthcare system? Okay. And I put a video up there because what was happening whenever I went unconscious, if somebody, and that, I got to the point where I didn't want an ambulance around me. I didn't want a doctor around me. I'd rather just die on my own, like just die. Because whenever they come around and I was like in unconscious, they would treat me like crap. Like I had so much problems with my scrotum because they would literally go in and they would like grind, and they weren't on the spot. They were over. Okay. So it was causing me more bodily harm. And they were not nice. And I'm not saying they're all like that, because they're not all like that. In 2017, I have a video posted up on this group, and the how I ended up getting the video is because I was in the front entry of my apartment building, and there was cameras there, and I was standing there and I was talking to a couple of people, and I could feel myself going down. And I went and I turned to reach for someone, and I started trying to say, I'm go, and then it was too late. When I went to reach for them, they backed away like that. And when they backed away, you could see me fall. I was like that far from going through a pane of glass and smacking my head off of the steel part of the plate on the door. You could actually see it happen. And it just like that. So there's really no time, there was no time to react. So they got me in the house and they called the ambulance. And the ambulance took me into the hospital, and I unresponsive, could hear them, could feel the agony, like the pain, and it was excruciating. And I could hear a nurse say, "Al, she's playing cat and mouse with us." And when you're laying there unconscious, you can hear them. You could feel everything they're doing. Like they were digging in my toenail cuticles. They were abusing me. Literally, physically, and mentally abusing me. Flopping me around like I was a frickin' rag doll. And this is why I do not agree with our systems. So when I came out of it, I was literally screaming in pain and crying. And I just wanted away from them. And I had people they were just like, well, the doctors say this, the doctors say that. It's like, I don't give a shit what the doctors say. The doctors are only going by your previous medical records. And they shouldn't be. Because they're not diagnosing you properly. Because they're too busy looking and saying, oh, this person has a mental illness, so they're looking for attention. No. There may be some people that are. But they class everyone as doing that. So it's hard for people to heal. Because the people who are supposed to be helping them are too busy passing them a medication. Or ridiculing them and saying, oh, here, come back. We just want to keep you, reminding you. We don't want to do anything for you. Because if we do something and help you, then we don't get the paycheck anymore. And this is why they're hiding frequencies. Why they've been trying to hide energy healing, frequency healing, crystal healing, natural herb healing. When those people have to say a disclaimer, it's wrong. Doctors don't have to. Pharmaceuticals don't have to give a disclaimer. They give a diagnosis and what have you, and say the side effects. But they don't tell you that it's not a cure or an end all, because you end up taking the medications. Some of us are end up taking medications for the rest of our lives, which we shouldn't be. We shouldn't even be taking medications to begin with. Because the real healing aspects are out there, only they don't want you to know about them because it's not profitable. So that was in 2017. I had surgery in 2018. It was actually, I believe it was, well, I had surgery the day that they legalized marijuana in Canada. And it was like I was feeling something wrong. And I was going to run. It was like, no, I have to have this because I had to get a bladder mesh removed, because I don't recommend them. Not at all. Because when I did get it, I ended up with cystosis all the time. Bladder infection, kidney infection. And it interfered with a lot of sex, like with the sex aspect of it. But I was having surgery to have it removed and have the cyst. And then, well, when I was in the emergency room, when I was in the room, in the recovery room, I could hear them calling my name, but I couldn't respond. So they were grinding. They were checking my pupils. And they were telling each other, like, she's not responding. Digging my feet and my nails and everything. And it was hurting. I couldn't respond. And when I come out of that, I was crying and I was trying to get away from them. And then the doctor told me that because of the damage that I sustained, I was going to have to take medication for the rest of my life. A medication that would make my hair fall out. A medication that was irritating my belly all the time and making me sick. A year later, 3 days before my birthday, I was at Costco. Like at this time, I was at Costco, okay? I was walking around and I wasn't kind of feeling well. I'd sit down because that's what I would have to do because I'd get dizzy. And we got over by where they do the sampling. And we're standing there. And the person I was with asked me if I wanted a sample. And I was like, no, I'm good. I was standing there and I could feel myself. I was going down. I said, I'm going. And the person seen me starting to go, so they grabbed my arm. And at the same time they grabbed my arm, it was like a yank. Because my body just was going down like that. And when I went down, my body slammed my hip, then my shoulder, and when this part hit, it folded me in half. Like my body folded right in half. And my head went sideways and it just slammed right into the floor. I was unconscious but aware. I was laying there, and the person I was with, Tara, get the fuck out of the middle of the floor. Excuse my French, but I'm repeating the way this person was, because this is what I have a hard time forgiving, because of the way that I was treated, because of something that I had no control over. So when that happened, I was catatonic for 15 minutes, just staring at the ceiling. Meanwhile, this person is hollering at me, telling me, get out of the middle of the floor. You're laying in the middle of the floor. And I'm thinking to myself, will you just shut the fuck up before I pound you? This I am, but I'm expressing. Okay, it's energy in motion, letting it out. It's part of the healing process. So this person was reacting like this to me, and there's supposed to be somebody who professes that they love you. But because a system had them believing that I was faking and seeking attention, treating you like shit because they're doing exactly what the doctor was telling them to do. Because they were doing it. So what ended up, I come out for, my body jolted out for long enough, and I pulled myself because I couldn't move. It was like I was paralyzed from the waist down, and I took my arms and I drug myself out of the aisle, but at the same time I hollered at the person and told them to fuck off. And then I was gone again. And that time was for about a half hour, and I could still hear them. Come on, Tara, get up. Come on, get up. And they started putting curtains around me. Meanwhile, this person's still hollering at me. And he's taking and he's trying to flop my legs together, and they're just flopping apart. Hollering and saying about calling an ambulance. And when I come to, a very nice lady that was working there, she was very compassionate and understanding. And to get me out of the way of everyone, tried putting me in a wheelchair. They had to help me in the wheelchair. I couldn't, because I couldn't walk. I couldn't move. I was just kind of limp. I couldn't even hold my head up. It was like my neck was broke. It was just, they'd hold it up and then it would flop back down. And the person was like the person I was with was, hold your head up. It's like, I can't. It was like rubber. So they weren't very helpful. They were more of an asshole than being helpful. And they said about calling an ambulance. I said, no. I said, don't call an ambulance because I ain't going. I don't want them around me. Because of the way I had been treated so much. So they got me in the room, the ambulance come. And I couldn't hold my head up. I couldn't walk. I was trying to speak and it was like a baby trying to speak, and then I was stuttering, and I was getting frustrated, and I was trying to push the speech out. And I wouldn't go in the ambulance because I wanted no part of the system, because all they ever did was hurt me. Even in my, I'll get back to that, because that was the first real experience that I had, was back in 2014 when I had my hysterectomy. So I'll go back to that. I'm finishing up this first. So this is why I don't like the system. Sins. Those are the actual sins. Systems integrated into our society, and it treats us like crap. So it got me home, and I couldn't walk. I couldn't talk, right? And I was left alone to take care of myself. And as days went by, I got worse and worse. I was tasting blood all the time. I felt like I was being squashed from the inside out. It was like a suffocation, and that's not fun. You could actually, when that was going through that, you could actually, my ribs were caving in. Everything was caving in. I was having trouble breathing. And all I wanted to do was get back to Alberta to get help, because I'd go to the hospital. And I wouldn't do anything. And on that same website or group that I said, I actually went into the hospital again. I even went to doctors, my family doctor, and walk-in clinics. That was about 15 times in less than 2 months. I even went once out of my own province. And there were times when it felt like my body was literally on fire. And the other video that I have is I was in the room, and I had spit up blood. So I put it in a pill bottle, and I took it in with me. The first doctor I had, she wanted to run a whole bunch of tests. And this, I will say it because he was a real fucking asshole. Condescending. Should not be in the medical field whatsoever. So I went for a CAT scan of my belly, but it wasn't in the area that I had been telling him. And I started asking questions about heart arrhythmia, because I was told that I had a heart arrhythmia. And when I asked him a question about that, well, that's not real. And a few minutes later, he says, another thing, if you've seen the video, you know what I was talking about. And then when I was asking questions, he reaches over and he puts his hand on me in a condescending way and says, "Now, Tara, we just did the most expensive test here that we do on you." Meanwhile, I'm trying to explain things. And the person that I was with is the same person. The store, and they were treating me like crap. Because the doctors kept saying there's nothing wrong with her. So this person was getting really irritated. And was listening to people that they knew had treated him like shit. You're sitting there watching someone you love be abused, and you're allowing it to happen. There's something wrong. This get to skere patagnuku yata. Bishkolek yata. Sikututuri tutorial malkiri toy. So it got worse and worse. And I had a family member that was trying to be very helpful, wanted to find a way to get the money so that I could go out west to a doctor out there that would help me, a medical system out there that would. So as time goes by, my body is deteriorating. I'm having experiences. I even had experiences where I was throwing up a very thick, clear liquid. It was like I was literally blowing bubbles with this. It was burning and hurting. When that was happening, they called the ambulance. Couldn't walk very well, and they were dragging me. They were making me walk, and then they made me they made me walk all the way to the ambulance, and they made me get in the ambulance myself. I'm not telling you this to feel sorry for me. I'm telling you this because this is the kind of system that is broken. It's a system that is supposed to be helping people, but it's not. It's harming more in a lot of cases than it is helping. So they treated me like crap at the hospital then. And I started I'd look on, this person was treating me like shit, and ambulance were treating me like shit. The doctors were treating me like shit. And I was laying next to someone, and they had a black t-shirt on, and I started seeing the fireworks. I started seeing the universe. It's a different colors. It was like fireworks going off, and that was like little kind of cartoony characters moving around the universe. Then all of a sudden, in colors, the word SOS come up. And when I seen the word SOS, I said out loud, SOS. Well, everyone knows that SOS means I need help. But I was being ignored, ridiculed, treated like crap, dismissed like I was nothing. But I forgive for that. But there's one person that I don't right now. And that person has a lot of inner work to do themselves. So after that part, I was laying on the couch and I could feel myself dying. And that is the worst feeling that anyone can ever experience. I was laying on the couch and I was looking up in the skylight. And it was like I was looking right through to another realm dimension. And I was seeing myself laying in a bed, hospital bed, with my family around me. I was in a coma from what I was seeing. And then I was experiencing feelings of something leaving my body, and it was like trying to catch it, trying to kind of like that, because I was in fear. because I was dying. So this family member was around me a lot, and they were seeing this experience, and I'd be like afraid to sleep because I was worried I was never going to wake up. And I'd doze off, and I'd panic. I'd wake up in a panic. And I kept doing things. I'd go out sometimes, and it was like I'd get I'd get a person at the bar that I would go to because I didn't want to ever be alone, really. And I'd get them to take my arm and kind of pull it to see if it would help me. It was like, pull my arm, like pull it. And it worse and worse. And I lay in bed, and this one night before I actually died at home, and died, I was seeing my mom at the foot of my bed, and people were coming, like my door was open, and it was like my door was open and people were coming in and out. And there was this little blonde girl. And I was aggravated. And I could feel everything leaving. I could feel my body dying more and more. It's okay. And I hollered, get the fuck out of my room. And the person was out in my living room. They heard. And they were trying really hard to figure out a way to get money for me to get to Alberta because they were scared for me, because they were watching and they were seeing and they were believing me when no one else would. Someone's crying. It's okay. Like I said, I'm not telling you this to feel bad for me or anything like that. Maybe you're crying because you had similar experiences. So then I ended up the next morning, I was out laying on my couch and sitting on the couch, and I could just feel my body like getting weaker and weaker and weaker. I couldn't fight no more. And it was like like that. I laid down and I closed my eyes. And I don't know how long I had been laying on the couch for. I don't know how much time went by. But I heard a couple family members come in and say, one of them say, oh, well, it was my son and my nephew. And one of them said, my nephew said, oh, your mother's still sleeping. But I wasn't sleeping. I was actually dying. And I couldn't let anybody, I couldn't indicate to anybody that was what was happening to me. So as I was feeling myself go into shock, I started seeing lights. And then it just became one massive bright light. It was like going up into the sun. I don't know how long I had been up there for. they wouldn't let me remember nothing because I wouldn't have wanted to come back. So when I did come back, I experienced, it was like something was trying to get in. And it was like there, and then all of a sudden it went out the window. And I jumped out of I jumped up, and I got dressed, and I felt like I had to go out and do something. I had to move. Even though I wasn't feeling well, I had to move. So I ended up a bit later going to Alberta. I had a lot of like a bad experience up there. Many bad experiences, not only from up there, but like what I was experiencing back home, because I was trying to explain things to people of like what was going on, and people were just getting frustrated with me, and I kept wanting to come home, and it was like nobody wanted to help me get home, and things like that. So I felt quite neglected and abandoned in a lot of ways. And it was right at COVID that I ended up coming home, and I got isolated. And I had some experiences. Not good either. But I ended up like going on to this website kind of quiz type thing of what I want for myself. Like, what did I want to hear, like as far as like fortune or readings go. And one of the questions was, are you looking for answers for like love, health, family, what have you? And I chose health. Because in order to have the other stuff, we need to have our health. So after I did that, I got connected with this thing where you could purchase something. Okay. And it was really strange because I purchased the reading and what have you. And that night when I went to bed, like I had no sound on in my house. And all of a sudden it was like a radio was playing. And I was hearing these different sounds. Some parts of it sounded almost like a drum. It sounded like different humming sounds. It was really strange, and I couldn't, like, I'd come out and like there was nothing, but when I laid back down and I could feel it. And as time went by, I could feel it more and more. Like I could hear it. It was like it was there. Because I asked for it. It's like I paid for it and I asked for it. So I started healing, even when I wasn't understanding. And then I come across this guy on YouTube, Our Everyday Lives, Michael Della Rocco. And he was talking about Nikola Tesla and healing frequencies. And I started looking into it. And I started learning about energy and realizing and understanding more of like what I was experiencing. So if somebody had negative energy, I'd go like that. And I could feel when they were coming in. And the person was like, what are you doing? And the other person that was there, they were like, She feels her energy and she's pushing it away. Tiskem. Mashkala turi skurita tataki tukriam ekulia turiai. Askriota escolam skurieta tukituie. So because of this guy that I had no, like, it just like it appeared. He just appeared in my vibration. This God sent. And I was listening to the frequencies and I started healing. All my pain was going away. All my anger, my frustration, my mental state, my judgment, everything was leaving. I was starting to love. But the one person that I'm having a hard time forgiving is the one person that made a vow. Because when I was asking for their help, they were blowing me off. And like I say, that do unto others as you would want others to do unto you. So right now, that's where I'm at, because I'm still hard about it, because whenever I try talking to the person about how I've been feeling and why I don't want to help them, they continue to blow me off and just get angry with me. So it's the part of me feeling towards this person is like, hey, from 2006 until I died and figured out a way to help myself, even afterwards, the person treated me like shit. So now when they ask for my help, a part of me wants to help them. So I've done a couple healings on them. But I find it really hard because I still have that frustration and anger in me. And I found that out today when I was sitting and looking in the mirror and talking with my mother. And finding out a big part of what's holding me back from forgiving this person. So we've been going back and forth because they feel that I've hurt them because of one thing that happened in 2009. But this is why I did it. And part of the healing process is being able to look at what's what's hurting you, what's holding you back from the healing. And it's not because I don't love this person, because I do love them. I just don't understand how people can treat each other that way. And I was no exception to the rule, because I got bitter. And maybe I didn't react in the right manner, but every time I tried to communicate with the person, I got yelled at and dismissed. But the same person wants me to understand them and help them. And that's where I find it difficult. It's not with anyone else. It's just this one. And I'm not going to stop trying to figure out how for us to sort this out. But like I said, communication is a big part of healing. And sometimes you just can't go within. It's got to be dealt with the person themselves. Sometimes if it's deceased people, we can do it mentally because we allow ourselves to communicate. And sometimes it happens mentally with this person. They may not know, but there's still parts where I try to talk. And I know it's because they're running away from them. They're running away from themselves, the same as I ran away from myself. So I started listening to frequencies and I started healing. And a lot of my videos are about this. The experiences. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to tell you my first experience, real experience with regards to the medical system as far as like physical pain. In 2014, I went in to have my hysterectomy. And when I was in the operating room, the person that put the IV in, put it in very roughly, and they turned away and it lifted. And then when they were going to put the solution in my arm, they took it and they squeezed it really fast. And it, instead of it going into the IV, it sprayed all over my arm. So she took a cloth and she just started dabbing the liquid up. Then she took a bunch of tape and she wrapped it around it and said, let's hope it don't come out during surgery. Nothing went in my arm. It went all over my arm. In roughly 2018, I have been telling a woman about this, and she had worked in the surgery department. And she informed me that when you go in for surgery, halfway through surgery, they bring you, or like halfway through, they bring you halfway out to make sure your vitals are fine. Only when they did it with me, because the original solution didn't go in my arm, I only had the mask. When they brought me out halfway, I didn't only come out halfway. I came out all the way. I could literally feel them cutting and pulling my insides out because they would take it through the vagina. Just get out the way. And I was screaming bloody blue murder for my mom. And my mom had passed away prior. So I was screaming for my mom. And then I felt something cold go in my arm and a mask come over my face. And they're supposed to keep you in the recovery room until you wake up. However, I woke up in my room by myself. It's not supposed to work that way. And my experiences have shown me why I do not trust them as far as I can throw them. Even though some of them, I would have loved to have drifted them right through the frickin' wall. Our systems are wrong. And I'm no doctor. I didn't go to university. I didn't go to college. I go by experiences and frequencies, crystals, and herbal medicine. It is so much more better for you. And it does not hurt you. It's like some will say about the placebo effect. 1 second. I said earlier today about it's like the world blew up, but it's because of all of our thoughts and what have you, the manifestation. Okay. So yesterday, and I was going to do this morning. Okay. Like I said, I draw these cards. Well, this is what I got yesterday. Okay. If you can believe it, the mind can achieve it. It's the power of belief. Okay. And the frequencies, it's not just the power of belief. The frequencies actually hit the actual spots of the nervous system, right down to a molecular cellular level, where that's where I said you can actually feel the healing taking place. When I was going through it, my body would like jolt, it's like, holy crap, man. It's almost somewhat like an electrocuting in some ways. But I spent a lot of time by myself going through this in order to heal. And the more damage you have to your body, the more you can actually feel the difference. It can help physically, mentally, emotionally, and like I said, spiritually. It helps with love. It helps with youth, helping you to be younger. Okay, like I said one other day, I had somebody tell me that I look younger now than I did 3-4 years ago. So, like I said, something must be right about it. And the parts that I'm telling you about the going within and being able to let everything, like just release it, let it go, because it doesn't serve you when they tell you, like, it makes you who you are. Yeah, and I said, it makes you a very bitter person at times because you can't let it go. So you think that everyone is the same. So that's all you see in that person. And sometimes it seems worse than what it is. And sometimes you are seeing. Because it's like feeling your way through, because your body will tell you. Okay? Listen to your body. Like I said about the frequencies, listen to your body, because your body will tell you if that frequency that you have on at that moment is for you. So it's like trying different frequencies, not just knocking one because it didn't work. There are many different ones. Okay? It's experimenting with them. If it doesn't make you feel good and it's more of an irritation, then change to something different. Just don't give up on it. Because like I said, what works for one may not work for the other. It's finding the frequency that works for you. Like I said, I use a lot of nature sounds. And right now I have this on because it is calming and it helps me to go within and feel as a whole, feel of connecting with my higher self to bring forth. Okay. And like I said, what I just told you, I don't want you feeling bad for me, because that was an experience that I had to go through in order to open my mind to see what was what, to keep me from being in a constant loop. Okay, but now, see what I'm doing? I'm not like this anymore, going up like this. And I'm becoming younger, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I can do cartwheels again, whereas before I was like, I'd get halfway, or I couldn't even have the muscle compound, the muscle to be able to do it, to hold myself, to flip myself. Now I can run and just like, woohoo, and I do the back, like, not the backflip. I will do that one day again, but I can do the roundup, as they call it, half cartwheel. I can throw a ball. My son, he says, because I say about playing ball, well, no, you can't play ball, you're too old. What? It's like, I'm not too old. And then he's like, well, we don't want you getting hurt, because they don't realize or understand that I am able to do this stuff. I am healthy. And I want to know, are you afraid I might put you to shame? No, I'm just kidding. But I used to play ball, and I have a dang good arm too. And I've had people tell me that I have a good arm. And the more you let go, you become not only stronger, but it's just like, woo, it's like a free flow. Everything starts moving better for you. But the more we hold on to stuff, the heavier we are. I'm not talking like you become, like, literally you become lighter. And as I told other people before, that when you get into a total meditative state where you have completely freed your mind with no thought of nothing, you start feeling like you're just air. And when I mean air, it just means like you're there, but you're not. You can't feel your body anymore. you become weightless. Te skea hoskala skrio totoria porgan. Kita tutia te esa se kuriala eskulam e kupiti kupuriam. Hai, te siu tuto into kunemere e le sule pototutia. Okay? So just try it. Because it does help a lot. I take no medication. I've gone to the hospital and it's like they want to trick you into taking it. Because when you take it, it's like you go back down. Because it doesn't help. It only suppresses things. But in the end, in most cases, it creates an even bigger problem. And people who swear by medication, you can be pissed off at me and say you're full of shit or anything like that. It's like, no. Because I know from experience. Big time. From the time I was young, I was off and on antidepressants. And you shouldn't even, it's only supposed to, like, to say it's only temporary, but it's never temporary. It ends up being a lifelong thing because you go and you got to go back on again when something happens. And I had a psychologist tell me, well, I can't see you if you don't let us diagnose you. Well, I'm only here for a minor thing, just to talk. Because during the beginning of COVID, because I was in the hospital and I couldn't make a phone call to my caseworker because I didn't even know that I had to make the phone call because I was in the hospital. I lost my disability. So I lost my income. Well, they were giving people money. I lost mine because I couldn't work. So it made no sense. So I was of the mindset, well, I guess Trudeau needed the money more than I did. It's not throwing shade. It must be truth. But I left it go. And when I went back to get the help, I didn't even want to go back, but I didn't really at that time. I didn't have a choice, and I tried to go get a job. But because I'm authentic and I speak a different language sometimes because I'm constantly channeling, I can't get a job. And I'm not going to suppress it, because when I suppress it, all it does is hurt me. It's like, accept me for who I am and all that I come with. Because I come with a lot of good. We all come with a lot of good. We've just had so much shit happen to us that holds some of us back. And there are people out there who are in jobs that they don't even want to be in. So they're not happy. So when I think of manifesting something or anything like that right now, the only thing I'm concerned with manifesting is my health and the wellness and the unity of my family coming together. I may need money to live, but they've made it a mental health problem. a physical health problem. Because we all feel like we have to work our asses off and allow our health to go down the shit tube. And then we don't get the proper help. You pay the money, but you don't get the benefit from it. You get a Band-Aid, a temporary fix. Because all they're doing is giving you your own money back. And then they're taking it again. Oh, here. So this here, the frequencies, they're free on YouTube. Go buy yourself some crystals, get a book, or go on the internet and ask what crystal would be best for you. I wear crystals. I have crystals and rocks and shells all around the house. I am very in line with spirituality of nature. As you can see, I have quite a few plants right here, but I have them all over my house, like all over. I have another bunch in my kitchen. Because it's being connected. Like I might have a lot of stuff here, but the stuff that I have here, it has a good energy to it. Because like I said, I have crystals put, like things placed. It's like a feng shui. Would you like me to come to your house and feng shui? But when I do that, it's being able to connect with the person and see the person's vision and helping them to see their own vision. Because it's like you may have stuff in your house that you're holding on to, but it's like holding on to the past and we have to let it go. So if you don't use, if it's clothing you don't use anymore, let it go. If it's a memory, maybe keep one piece. Something that means the most to you. That brings a good energy vibe, a happy energy vibe. Opposed to a sad or bad memory. Let it go and you will see all the other good things that will come into your life. Heal from all your pains. Let it go and know that you don't have to hold on to it anymore. Remember the good. But let go of the stuff that keeps you from healing, that keeps you in that vicious circle. Pikitumbriasan e turiata ki puletom mitun e sule asakata tikino kututiata le piletatun. Okay? If you made it this far, woohoo! If you just come in, welcome. With that being said, I'm going to leave you all at that, and it's a matter of try it. And don't just do it the once. Keep going. Keep going, and you will see. And you don't have to have it on loud. You can just have it down really low and go about your other business. I have frequencies on basically all day long because I hardly ever watch TV. And if I do, it's like I start watching it and it just irritates me. I do watch my Once Upon a Time series. I finished watching it and I started watching it again from the beginning because every time I watch it, I get something different from it. Okay? So I'm sending you all much love, light, many blessings, most importantly, very good health to anyone and everyone wanting, willing, ready to receive and accept. I want you all to be big, bold, brave. Most importantly, be yourself, not who somebody says you are or wants you to be. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and know that you are strong and you can get through this. Keep going, never give up. Shine your light and spread your love. And stay centered. Have a great rest of your night and an awesome Monday.